morning students. Today let us see about the synthesis of ibuprofen. This ibuprofen belongs to the class propionic acid derivatives, that is phenyl propionic acid derivatives, profens. And when we come to the synthesis of this ibuprofen, the starting material for the synthesis of this ibuprofen is, so first benzene, it reacts with isobutene. Benzene reacts with isobutene to give isobutyl benzene. To give isobutyl benzene. Benzene reacts with isobutene in the presence of AlCl3 and a eutectic mixture of sodium and potassium to give isobutyl benzene. To this isobutyl benzene, we have to add acetyl chloride in the presence of AlCl3. So by the removal of HCl, so we will get isobutyl acetophenone. We will get isobutyl acetophenone, and this is a famous Friedel-Crafts acylation reaction. Friedel-Crafts acylation reaction. And now this isobutyl acetophenone must be treated with hydrogen cyanide. It must be treated with hydrogen cyanide such that we will get a cyanohydrin derivative. Such that we will get a cyanohydrin derivative. So this isobutyl acetophenone, it reacts with hydrogen cyanide, and here the mechanism is, here since oxygen is more electronegative, it will get a positive charge and this carbon will get negative charge, and here this hydrogen cyanide is also dissociated into H plus and Cn minus. And the positive part of the reagent will be attached to the negatively charged oxygen, and the negatively part of the reagent will be attached to this carbonyl carbon, such that we will get an intermediate. And to this we have to do hydrolysis followed by reduction. Hydrolysis followed by reduction. Such that we will get ibuprofen. So in this step, so the hydrolysis Upon hydrolysis, this cyano group is converted into carboxylic acid group, and upon reduction, this oxygen is eliminated. So the oxygen is removed upon reduction, such that we will get ibuprofen. So this is the synthesis of ibuprofen, and for the synthesis of this ibuprofen, so first the benzene is treated with isobutene. So in the presence of AlCl3 and the eutectic mixture of sodium and potassium, such that we will get isobutyl benzene. So this is the isobutyl group. So isobutyl benzene, and this isobutyl benzene, upon Friedel-Crafts acylation in the presence of acetyl chloride and AlCl3, which is a Lewis acid, it gives isobutyl acetophenone. Isobutyl acetophenone. So to this isobutyl acetophenone, we have to treat with hydrogen cyanide, and here this reagent is added to this, the carbonyl group. So the negative part of the reagent will be added to the positively charged carbon, and the positive charge of the reagent will be attached to this oxygen, such that we will get an intermediate, which is a cyanohydrine intermediate. And the next step is hydrolysis followed by reduction. So upon hydrolysis, the cyano group is converted into carboxylic group, and the reduction will cause the elimination of this oxygen. So by the removal of oxygen, so reduction takes place, such that we can synthesize ibuprofen. So this ibuprofen can be synthesized in this manner. So this ibuprofen contains isobutyl group and phenyl group and propionic acid. Isobutyl phenyl propionic acid is ibuprofen. Isobutyl means ibu, pro means propionic acid, phen means phenyl. Isobutyl phenyl propionic acid is ibuprofen. So the next is the synthesis of mefenamic acid. So this mefenamic acid, it belongs to an aryl antholinic acid derivatives. So the synthesis of mefenamic acid starts with the compound 2-chlorobenzoic acid. 2-chlorobenzoic acid. And this 2-chlorobenzoic acid is treated with two, 2,3-dimethyl aniline. 2,3-dimethyl aniline, or it is also called as 2,3-xylidine. It is otherwise called as 2,3-xylidine. So it is treated with K2CO3 followed by treating with an acid. So by the removal of HCl, so we will get mefenamic acid. We will get mefenamic acid. So for the synthesis of this mefenamic acid, the starting materials are 2-chlorobenzoic acid. 2-chlorobenzoic acid. It is treated with 2,3-dimethyl aniline. 2,3-dimethyl aniline, or otherwise it is also called as xylidine. It is also called as xylidine. And it is treated with K2CO3 in the presence of an acid, we will get mefenamic acid by the removal of HCl. Here one H and Cl. By the removal of this HCl, we will get mefenamic acid. So it belongs to an aryl antholinic acid derivatives. So it is a dimethyl phenyl antholinic acid. Dimethyl phenyl antholinic acid is mefenamic acid. Dimethyl phenyl antholinic acid is mefenamic acid. So this is the synthesis of mefenamic acid. Now let us see the mechanism of action of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So generally the inflammation may be caused due to any damage to the tissue. Thereby we will have pain and also we will have inflammation. So these non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, mainly they will be decreasing the inflammation as well as pain. So the main reason for the cause of pain is because of prostaglandins. So these prostaglandins causes vasoconstriction and vasodilation, thereby we will get pain. Particularly these non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, they will inhibit the synthesis of these prostaglandins. So the main mechanism of these NSAIDs is the inhibition of prostaglandin synthesis. So these prostaglandins play a major role in the inflammation process. These prostaglandins are the lipid molecules that play a vital role in modulating many important physiological and pathophysiological functions, which include pain, inflammation, etc. So the drugs such as aspirin, indomethacin, they will be inhibiting the synthesis of these prostaglandins. So the major site for the NSAIDs action is the inhibition of this prostaglandin synthase. Prostaglandins, they are biosynthesized by the enzymes, that is cyclooxygenase, which is also called as prostaglandin synthase. Cyclooxygenase or prostaglandin synthase. The cyclooxygenase will be existing in two isomeric forms, the cyclooxygenase 1 and cyclooxygenase 2. These cyclooxygenase or prostaglandin synthase will be catalyzing the reaction for the synthesis of prostaglandins, and these enzymes are responsible for the biosynthesis of prostaglandins. And these prostaglandins will cause vasoconstriction and vasodilation. So this is a brief introduction about this mechanism of action of NSAIDs. Now let us see the form of this flow chart, the mechanism of action of NSAIDs. So this arachidonic acid is released by the action of phospholipase A from the damaged tissue. By the action of phospholipase A on the damaged tissue, this arachidonic acid is released, and thus released arachidonic acid will be converted into prostaglandins with the help of enzyme cyclooxygenase or COX. Cyclooxygenase or COX, which is also called as prostaglandin synthase. So these prostaglandins, which are synthesized from this arachidonic acid, causes vasoconstriction and pain. And these prostaglandins, that is prostaglandins G2 and prostaglandins H2, is further converted to prostaglandins E2 and prostaglandins F2 alpha by the cyclooxygenase 1 and cyclooxygenase 2. Either of these enzymes, they will be converting this prostaglandin G2 and prostaglandin H2 to prostaglandins E2 and prostaglandins F2 alpha, and these prostaglandins causes vasodilation and pain. So this is the reason why we will get inflammation and pain because of the synthesis of these prostaglandins. Now our drugs, NSAIDs, they will be inhibiting these enzymes, that is cyclooxygenase 1 and cyclooxygenase 2 or prostaglandin synthase enzymes. So the cyclooxygenase 1 can be inhibited by these COX-1 inhibitors, and cyclooxygenase 2 can be inhibited by this cyclooxygenase 2 inhibitors. So based on their mechanism of action, so our NSAIDs also can be categorized as COX-1 inhibitors and COX-2 inhibitors. COX-1 inhibitors, that is cyclooxygenase 1 inhibitors, and COX-2 inhibitors, cyclooxygenase 2 inhibitors. So COX-1 inhibitors are aspirin, indomethacin, etc., and COX-2 inhibitors are celecoxib, paracetamol, nimesulide. So based on their mechanism, NSAIDs also can be categorized as COX-1 inhibitors and COX-2 inhibitors. So these are the different sites of action of COX-1 and COX-2 inhibitors. COX-1 inhibitors will be inhibiting on this enzyme, that is cyclooxygenase 1, and COX-2 inhibitors will inhibit the enzyme cyclooxygenase 2. So this is the mechanism of action of NSAIDs. Particularly, let us see the mechanism of action of aspirin. So this aspirin, which is an acetyl salicylic acid, it will be inhibiting the enzyme prostaglandin synthase or cyclooxygenase. So this enzyme contains a amino group at its terminal end, and the lone pair of the nitrogens on this amino group will be attacking on this carbonyl carbon, and this aspirin can be converted to this salicylic acid. So, and this enzyme prostaglandin synthase will be inactivated. So this since this enzyme is inactivated, these prostaglandins cannot be synthesized. In this way, aspirin and other non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, they will be acting as anti-inflammatory drugs and also analgesics. So this is the mechanism of action of aspirin. So again, when we see once the flowchart of this mechanism of action of NSAIDs, from the damaged tissue, the phospholipase A causes the release of arachidonic acid, and thus released arachidonic acid will be converted into prostaglandins, and these prostaglandins G2 and H2 are further converted into prostaglandin C2 and F2 alpha, so which causes inflammation and pain, and this enzyme is inhibited by our NSAIDs or COX-1 inhibitors and COX-2 inhibitors. These are NSAIDs. So based on their mechanism of action, they can be categorized as COX-1 inhibitors and COX-2 inhibitors. So this is the in brief about the mechanism of action of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs.